Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to dive into one simple rule that can literally unlock the entire internet for millions of people. It's a fundamental principle of web accessibility, and it all starts right here with your keyboard. So let's get into it. Seriously, just think about it for a second. Maybe your mouse batteries died or your laptop's trackpad just decided to quit on you. You probably tried to get around using just your keyboard, right? So how did that go? Was it easy, or was it a completely frustrating dead end? And that's the thing. For a huge number of people, navigating with a keyboard isn't just a temporary hassle. It's their primary and sometimes their only way of interacting with the digital world. So when a website fails this simple test, it's not just annoying, it's a massive, impassable barrier.
So let's start with the problem itself. Let's talk about the unusable website. This is what happens when clicks are impossible, and the keyboard was basically an afterthought in the design process, if it was a thought at all.
Picture this. You land on a gorgeous website. The design is sleek, you see the content, you know exactly what you want to do. You want to hit that Buy Now button, or open that drop-down menu, or just follow a simple link. But if you're using a keyboard and the site isn't built right, you're just stuck. It's like being in a library where all the books are locked behind glass. You can see them, but you can't get to them. So how do we fix this? Well, thankfully, the solution is built on a single, super important guideline for digital access. And that brings us to something we call the keyboard rule. Here it is, the core principle, straight from the official Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, or WCAG for short. This is what they call a Level A requirement, which basically means it's one of the most essential, non-negotiable rules out there. It says that pretty much everything you can do on a website, you have to be able to do with a keyboard. Simple, right? But that last phrase is the important part, keyboard interface. So what does that actually mean, keyboard interface? You might be surprised. It's way more than just the physical keyboard sitting on your desk. It's a really broad term for any technology that sends keystroke commands to the computer. And that scope is huge. We're talking on-screen keyboards on a tablet, speech-to-text software where you can say tab or press enter, and even amazing assistive tech like sip and puff devices. All of these things act like a keyboard. So when you build a site that works with a keyboard, you're actually making it work with all of this incredible technology too. Okay, so we've got the rule down, but how does it actually work in the real world? Let's break down how you translate all those mouse actions from a simple click to a complicated drag and drop into simple keystrokes. It's really all about creating equivalence. For everything you can do with a mouse, there has to be a way to do it with a keyboard. So clicking a button, that becomes pressing enter or the spacebar. Hopping from one link to the next, that's what the tab key is for. And yeah, even something that seems complex, like dragging and dropping a file, has a keyboard alternative. You just use cut and paste commands. You can really boil the whole experience down into 3 simple steps. First up, focus. Can I get to the thing I want, the button, the link, whatever, just by using the tab key? You should be able to see a little box or outline moving around. Second, action. Okay, now that I'm on it, can I actually make it do something by pressing a key like enter? And third, the outcome. Does it do the exact same thing it would have done if I just clicked it with a mouse? If the answer to all 3 is yes, you're in great shape. Now, like any good rule, this one has a very specific and pretty interesting exception. And understanding this part is key, because it's all about making things accessible without accidentally killing creativity. It all comes down to when the journey is actually more important than the destination. The exception only applies when the function depends on the path of your movement, not just where you start and where you end up. So you have to ask yourself, does how I get from point A to point B fundamentally change what happens? Here's a great way to think about it. Most of the time on the web, we just care about the destination. We tell our friend, meet me at the coffee shop. We don't care about the exact route they take. That's like clicking a Buy Now button. But sometimes, drawing the map itself is the whole point. The specific path you draw is the function. So let's take a connect the dots game. The goal is just to connect point 1 to point 2, then to point 3, and so on. The wavy line your mouse makes between the dots, totally irrelevant. All that matters is that they get connected. This is not path dependent, so it must be keyboard accessible. You should be able to use your arrow keys to pick the next dot and maybe the spacebar to draw the line. Now let's contrast that with a watercolor painting app. Here, the path of your movement is everything. The curve of your hand, the speed, the pressure, that's what creates the art, the brush stroke. You simply can't replicate that kind of freehand nuance with a few keystrokes.
This is a true exception because the whole point of the tool is tied to that free-form path.
So we've gone through the what, the how, and even the one tricky exception. But let's bring this all back home to the most important question of all. Why does this matter so much? Let's talk about the human impact here. Following this one rule opens up the web for so many people. It helps people who are blind and use screen readers, which absolutely depend on keyboard navigation. It helps people with low vision who might lose track of a tiny mouse cursor on a busy screen. It is absolutely essential for people with motor tremors who find the precision of a mouse impossible. And it helps every single person who uses speech-to-text software or any other tech that acts like a keyboard. This isn't just a technical requirement. It's a gateway to information, to jobs, and to community. And that really just leaves us with one final question to think about. Whether you're a developer, a designer, or just somebody who loves the web, it's a question worth asking, because a web that's built for everyone isn't just a more accessible web, it's just a better web, period. Thanks for watching.